Good morning. I'm MJ from Linus Publications, and I want to take a few minutes this morning and do a series of maybe three short videos. And I want to talk about the shutdown and what sort of happened here and why, and just give an idea, just because it's sort of fascinating. Now, we still haven't gone through the whole thing yet, so we may have an upset. But as I had noted, yes, the Senate was going to move ahead on something. And it may be that people are saying, well, how is that known and stuff like that. So we're going to take a look at that. And without further ado, in this session, we're going to look at the Senate piece of this. In the next session, we'll look at the House. And then the last session, we're going to do with Trump on this whole piece. So without further ado, let's take a look at what happened with the United States on the 9th. And this is when the Senate and GOP and some of the Democrats from the Senate came to some type of arrangement. So first, what we have here is that Venus, transiting Venus, made a trine to the natal Venus in the USA's chart. So Venus, in effect, it's a softening, but it's also a concern about the lifestyles of people. And in the United States chart, this is directly relating to the sixth house of work, of health. So this was a consideration here. People weren't working. They weren't getting money, SNAP benefits. So that was definitely a big factor in bringing this thing together to alleviate some of the pain. And this is showing in this chart of the United States. Now, in addition, Venus touching on Venus is also, United States Venus is ruling the 11th house, which is Libra. This house I use for the house, which means this is now pushing action on the house to do something, which they are. They're coming back supposedly within 36 hours, which makes it by a late tomorrow night. So who knows, they might vote tomorrow night or sometime on Wednesday, which follows with what I was saying. Now, the last thing I want to note here is that the Venus happens on 11/9. We have Jupiter on 11/11 being touched on by Venus. So that means there's another step coming, and this 11/11 will likely be in effect when maybe we might get a signature, okay, meaning at the House. So maybe it's going to pass the House on the 11th, if not maybe the 12th. Now, Jupiter relates directly to the United States, and in effect, the identity, the people. So this is, again, softening. Now, I do need to stress here, these are minor angles, and minor angles are important when it comes to situations where you have major angles happening. As I've noted all along, we have an angle from Pluto here. It's an inconjunct, a break and adjust, and it is hitting Venus, which means that all along we've had control, attempted manipulation over what? In effect, the social styles, things like that of the people. Now, that's still going to continue, but at some points, we may have softening to that, or there may be harshness coming. And what happened was we had harshness at one point, which caused the shutdown. Now, in this case, it's likely the administration is doing this control thing. So they keep on, even though they can't get there from here, they keep on trying to do things that get broken and they adjust their way of doing it. So they try again, which is exactly what happened with this shutdown. They're trying with what? The SNAP thing is one of the things that happened. The air traffic controllers. Now with the SNAP, they wouldn't disperse the money. I mean, who does that? But it shows you how they're doing their adjustments. So consider that will keep on going. This Pluto also hitting Venus is hitting the communities. So what are the communities? Communities of immigrants, where they're being attacked. And even though they've been taken to court about this, what do? Well, they get broken in something, they can't continue, but they find another way to keep on going. That's going to keep on going. So now let's take a look at the next chart. And I want to point out it was Venus in this chart. So that's a softening, okay? Trying to work things out. So let's take a look at Thune's chart. He is the head of the Senate. And he's actually, he's GOP, but he's very concerned about what's happening here. And what happened was that in his chart, and this is on 11/9, Venus came about, and it was actually trining his Venus. And more importantly here, that was actually trining the Venus in the United States chart. So he was very concerned about what was happening. He was concerned about this whole situation with the shutdown, with the snap, where that was heading, with the threatened, mentions of the filibuster. So he was concerned. So this Venus is pushing him to act. So in 11/9, Venus hit his Venus, so he was able to pull together a deal. Now, on 11/12, which is approximately 10, that's going to be Wednesday, Venus is going to be hitting his Mars in a nice angle. So it's now going to be pushing to him to do what? To act on something. So it could be that this comes back as a final thing to the Senate to get approved, which makes sense. So it could be it passes the House on Wednesday, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe they need to talk, but then we have stuff going on Wednesday, back and forth. So remember, we're step 1 in the shutdown. It's not over yet. So now, let's take a look at the next piece, which is Schumer. So in this case, what we have is Mars, and this is on 11/8. Now, Mars has a little bit longer period that it's in contact with planets. The other planets, the Mercury, Sun, Venus tend to be a day or so, plus or minus. Mars is going to be 2 days. So in this case, the 8th, I'm seeing that, and that will go into the 9th and the 7th, that we're actually conjuncting with what? Venus. So that means he likely was actually having a lot of conversations, a lot of action towards getting something done here. Why? It was hitting his Venus. He needed to make some type of compromise. He needed to work something out because what? He's got concern for the communities. So Venus in all of these charts, we can see that it's being hit in the United States chart. It's being hit in Thune's chart. It's being hit in Schumer's chart. So this is one of the things that brought them all together. But remember, this is just these are minor angles. The bigger angle is that Pluto in conjunct Venus, which means this is going to keep on continuing. Okay, which means they're going to keep on having these things that where the administration tries to break something, and it breaks it, but then they go around another way. Okay, so expect that. Now, I'll have another one coming up in a little bit about the House. So, thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye now.